Years before audiences would witness Reagan MacNeil's possession, Jason Voorhees' murder spree, or the terrifying nightmares of Freddy Krueger, Rosemary had a baby. Rosemary's Baby was released in 1968, the same year the motion picture industry replaced the Hays Code with the MPAA rating system, a decision that would pave the way for a horror renaissance that would last until the early 1990s. Roman Polanski's classic psychological thriller is probably the best horror film I've seen pre-1970, and is a motion picture that walked in order for modern horror cinema to run. Hi, and welcome to Studio Cinema Saturday, the show where we review films old and new, the ones that you don't like and the ones that you do. I'm your host, Dalton Sherrill, and I am joined by Jackson Grubbs. Today we're looking at Roman Polanski's 1968 Rosemary's Baby. This film stars Mia Farrow as Rosemary Woodhouse, John Cassavetes as Guy Woodhouse, Ruth Gordon as Minnie Castevet, Sidney Blackmer as Roman Castevet, Maurice Evans as Edward Hutch Hutchins, and Ralph Bellamy as Dr. Abraham Saperstein. Have you seen any horror films that were that old that you actually enjoyed?
To tell the truth, I don't think I ever seen any other horror film made that early. I think the earliest horror movie I ever seen were probably going to be Dracula with Christopher Lee.
I've also seen Dracula with Christopher Lee, and I think that, it absolutely stomps that film. Not that that is a bad film or anything.
It's not, but I think it's great around the age it released.
Absolutely, but we're on the cusp of modern horror here. You're seeing some techniques in Rosemary's Baby that you would just continue to see throughout horror cinema.
You will have to think about the set they would use around when filming Rosemary's Baby, and how much they did with camera work. And the set and the design for it, I think it's great.
Absolutely. This is before we have, the green screen techniques and the volume technology of today's cinema, and you just see all of these most likely just physical sets, and there's just so much set design that went into every scene. What did you think about the dream sequences?
To be honest, I wasn't really expecting a dream sequence to happen. It was weird when I first saw it, and I thought, oh, she probably just feeling sick or something. Now, is it actually real, or is this just it's just a dream scenario, but it could very well be real with what's going on with the vibe of the movie.
And I think that's a really fun element that a lot of films play with. I think that that's another reason I really love The Lighthouse so much, is you can't really determine what's real and what's not, and the reality kind of becomes blended at times.
Yeah.
And it adds to the mystery of the film. It reminds me a little bit of The Cult and Hereditary. I see a lot of parallels between those films, and I think I've even heard that Ari Aster was inspired a little bit by Rosemary's Baby and just the coven, the cult aspects of it, because they were all naked at the end of that film, if you remember. It seems that Satan prefers you to take your clothes off if you're gonna, praise him.
Yeah, I would not prefer that.
Let's talk a little bit about the Scrabble scene. I thought that was a lot of fun, and it was her kind of cracking the code and unsolving the mystery of what's going on.
Right. So the Scrabble scene, it was left behind by her recently deceased friend, Hutch. Before Hutch passed away, he learned a little bit more about the Cassavet Tannish root from Hutch word.
It was an anagram.
Right. It's all in the name.
Absolutely.
And so it was like a fun little sequence trying to find out what exactly is the name.
She decodes Roman Castevet to be Stephen Marcato, and I think they talk about him at the beginning of the film, and that he was a resident there and he was associated with witchcraft and all of the things that happened at the beginning of the film. And so she's kind of, tied Roman Castevet to this satanic cult. And after we see that there are cult members in the house, they pretty much corner her, sedate her, and then she gives birth. And after that, they tell her that her baby was a stillborn. And she's just kind of sitting there in shock, like, you guys definitely have done something with my baby. We're just kind of sitting there like, okay, yeah, sure, all right. This is whenever Rosemary ventures into the linen closet, which was discussed at the beginning of the film. But this time she goes in there and removes everything, and she finds a secret passageway. And there's everybody just gathered around. There's a black crib with an upside down cross. and they pretty much greet Rosemary and tell her what's happened and that she's pretty much born a child for Satan. They start hailing Satan, and Guy's in there and he's with it. It's just this culmination of, wow, Rosemary truly couldn't trust anybody, and this is what was actually going on the entire time.
Right, and finding out that her baby is the blood of Satan himself, and she realized that it wasn't a dream at all earlier in the film.
And they pretty much speak to her like she should be grateful for, like, and feel, you know, I guess special for bearing the spawn of Satan. And because she's like, oh, you know, he chose you and this and that. And he chose you to be his mother. And he's also saying, like, Adrian will lay waste to temples. And he has this very, you spoke about his voice after the film. He has a very soothing voice. But whenever he's speaking about Satan and all these terrible things, it's just very unnerving.
And wreak vengeance in the name of the burned and the tortured. Hail Adrian! Hail Adrian! Hail Satan! Hail Satan!
Because he has such a presence. But Mia Farrow's performance in this scene too. Its eyes, what have you done to its eyes? And she's screaming. Like, this is such an emotionally charged scene to end the film on. What do you make of her just accepting it and rocking the cradle at the end?
When I come to realize the moment she walk over to that black crib, just start rocking the crib calmly. She's like, okay, this is my life now. I have to accept it either way because it hit my blood.
Right, and it's like whenever Guy tells her, oh, but we can have some of our own children, she spits on him, and it's like, I love that, you know.
Like, oh, I thought we were going to have kids.
She kind of sticks it to him at the end, even though she's kind of giving in to everything.
Right.
And it's like just one of the overarching themes of this film is control, you know, control of a woman's body. You know, we kind of go into the 1970s where you have Roe v. Wade. Those are kind of your ties to, you know, the social, political, and, you know, cultural side of things. We hope you enjoyed this review of Rosemary's Baby. If you did, we hope you subscribe, drop a like, and leave a comment on the video if you've seen the film and leave us your thoughts. And we have plenty of other content for you to watch. We make short films, we've reviewed countless other movies and television shows, so go give those videos some love. And as always, we'll see you in the next one.